Aloha, kids. So yesterday we talked about rendering a cube in 3D space. Today we're going to render a sphere in 3D space. Let's go over some terminology. The shape of a 2D sphere is actually an ellipse. It could be a perfect circle, it could be an oval, but ellipse is the term that we use in our graphics programs. When we talk about 3D form, we're talking about a sphere. Now, spheres can be oblong, or they can be perfectly circular, I guess, or equilateral. And so then when we add light and shading, then we can start to describe different things, like a football, or an egg, or some sort of a ping pong ball. Ping pong balls are really good. If you can find one of those are probably easier to draw than an egg because they're very symmetrical and they're pretty easy to find, ping pong balls. Also, if you don't have a ping pong ball, then I'd say an egg would be another good choice. Make sure you have your parents or yourself, if you know how to cook, make it a hard-boiled egg. That way you won't have tragedy and sadness on your hands. Okay, I know this from experience. So anyway, we're going to start off. I'm going to show you a photograph. I asked yesterday, not during my morning class, but I did ask that you submit a photo of the actual object that you are drawing. We had several students that were just drawing a version of my drawing, and that's not what observational drawing is. Observational drawing is drawing what is in front of you. So here's a picture of my sphere that I'm drawing. It's actually a foam ball. Okay, so you see it there. And you can see that there are highlights, there are midtones, there's shadows, there's cast shadows, and there's reflected light. All right, so let's take a look at my paper here. All right, the first thing that I'd like for you guys to do is to draw a border around your paper. This makes it easier to create a good composition because instead of going off the page, now you have this little buffer zone around here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing in this sphere in the middle here. It always helps to draw, if you're drawing a circle, do one half and then do the other half. And draw very lightly because it's not an easy shape to draw. Okay, now I'm going to start analyzing it. Again, I can see the light is coming from this side, just like on my box that I drew yesterday. So this is the light. And then we have, so that means your shadows are going to be in this range, right? And I'm not going to draw this whole thing. What I've done is I've included a YouTube video for somebody that draws much better than me, and it's a really good video. It really goes over the whole shading technique. So I'm just going to do this lightly just to show you how to get started. It seems like the very darkest part is over here because the light's kind of coming from the side. And then I'm going to start drawing these edges down here because that really shows what this shape is. It's very dark here, and I can see that I have some cast shadows that kind of overlap. So there's a cast shadow that looks like this shape. I don't really want to draw it solid, but there's a shadow of the ellipse that's going out here, and there's a shadow, a stronger shadow of the ellipse that's on this side. And then there's a part here where it overlaps. So I just figured I would show you that. So that's the strongest shadow. So that's the darkest part of my drawing is the part where there's very little light getting in, which is right down there. All right? So, and then I have more shadows out here. So I'm just going to cross over that. And there's just a slight amount of shadows this way. Again, you can use whatever technique you want. In the video that I'm going to share with you guys, there's a lot of really good techniques of using the side of your pencil. This is actually a grease pencil, which isn't as fluid as a graphite pencil, but I thought it would show up better on a video. All right, So you can see how I didn't do too much shading on the sphere itself yet, but you're already getting kind of the feeling that we're looking at a 3D object. I can also draw where I put it on a white piece of paper. The reason I did that is so that you could see there's reflected light. If you have your sphere on a dark surface, you're not going to have as much reflected light. So that's just kind of part of it. So I'm just going to keep going here. A lot of people, when they're shading a sphere, they use curved lines. I'm just using straight lines because I'm just trying to do this quickly. And there is a spot up here where you're going to see that there's a highlight right in this area, kind of like there. I don't really want to draw it as a circle because this is not a very hard object. The harder the object, like if this was like a marble, then you'd have a very, very good reflection of whatever your light source is. Whether it's a light bulb or if it's the sun, you would actually see that thing. You know, what I'm seeing here is just a very light area right in that area over there. So, and since this is a white sphere, I'm not going to do a ton of shading on it, just enough to get you the idea that this is a round object. Okay. All right, and that's about it for my 2 cents worth here. But I do want you to check out the other video. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, one more thing. Make sure that you understand that we have this area here. We have a highlight that we use quite a bit in our terminology, but they also use a word called core light. So like they're saying the highlight is that little dot, but a lot of times in some of our graphics programs, we call that a spectral light. So if you say highlight, core light, it's all kind of the same thing. Just try to keep that highlight in your head. Then you have these mid-tone areas, you have your shadows, and then we have the reflected light that you see at the bottom of the sphere, and then you have your cast shadows. All right, thank you very much.